Alrighty, Deutz-Fahr 115 TTVDF, going through how to start and operate MarMac twin puff strawberry sprayer. To start the tractor, you must hold your foot on clutch and brake pedal, at the same time rotating the key into the start. Tractor starts, okay. Yep, now then essentially we've got a park brake here, and that's released by that, and applying the brake by lifting it up here, applying the brake like so. Okay, if there's currently we've got the category 4 cabin filtration on, just sensing the pressure, the door's open, and so it's reacting to that. Air conditioning button must be turned on every time you start the tractor, and over here we've got the category 4 button where you can select it if you're wanting to use the chemical filter, or turn it off or on. In that case, that's off. We go back on again. It'll do a check, and then it'll tell us the status of the fan and the pressurization of the cabin. To this side here, we've got a button that can be used for a quick turning scenario, which gives you full steering at half the rotation. The key modes of the transmission is used at this point here. Now, to change these modes from manual, automatic or PDO, you must be stationary in the tractor and in neutral. It's indicated here neutral. Noticing now the Cat 4 is telling us that there's a problem, which we can't get pressure because the door's open. Okay, so we would typically be spraying in PDO mode, which is shown here on the dashboard, and repeating the mode is adjusted there if we need to. Okay, so to run the chemical pump in this case, we have to unlock the hydraulics, and the same with operating the boom function. So that is where you unlock the hydraulics, and you hold that down, and when it does that, it will tell you on the dash 4 available. At that point, now the blue hydraulic functions will all operate, and requires a little bit of engine throttle, a bit of speed for the boom to operate. So if the boom won't operate, maybe the tractor's still at idle, and it needs just a few revs to give us some oil. So then we've got the up of the boom by simply pressing here, up it goes, and down it goes, and then tilt is here and here. Okay, so just with a few revs, we've got 1000 RPM, it's working nicely. If we want to fold back the booms for travel position, must remember to always fully lower the boom before sending them back, in which case there we are, it's locked in position. And then also remember to shut the door when you're swinging back. So if we are swinging back, that for example, that is done simply that way, to swing it out, open, that way swing it back. But remember, the boom must be fully lowered before swinging them rearward. To turn the Bravo on, which you need to every time you restart the tractor, simply holding that button there, and then it's following the Bravo instructions, whether it's the rate. So at this point we're selecting 1000 litre per hectare in the memory number 3, and that's the 3.5 per side. Okay, which we might want to change that. We'll change that to 4.5 potentially for your 9 metre swath. This is the temperature of the rear power pack. These turn on the fans, the main spraying fans, left and right. And obviously to engage the PDO, we would have minimum engine speed. Yep, that's it, minimum engine speed. We start the PDO, holding it down for a couple of seconds, and then we'll hear the PDO start running, and the RPM will be displayed on the dash. You can then increase the revs or use the memory button. Yep. And when we're spraying in the twin puff, we're running the tractor speed at 600, the engine speed gives the PDO speed of 820 RPM. And then activate one fan at a time. One fan at a time. Fans are ready, and they can be turned off. to run the chemical pump, yep, it's just holding that down, not all the way into the detent float position, so just holding it down, and that's displayed here by the blue illuminated below the port. And you can see that that is actually supplying good pressure to the chemical pump by viewing the gauge, the pressure motor pressure gauge at the back, and then of course there'll be chemical pressure shown at the rear gauge, but the front pressure will only be shown when you turn the boom on. If it's spraying, put it on manual, and hence there we are, we have pressure. There is speed control, so that's the kilometres per hour. You can change that setting if you want. Currently it's programmed 2.1 kilometres an hour and 3.8, and the engine speed is also programmable here and here, as you'll see, currently at 1600 and 1967 RPM respectively. That engine won't, the memory won't lock in unless you're in PDO mode or manual mode, and the tractor's happy. Sometimes you get a few warnings on the tractor as well, which will be something to note. When you first start it up, it will give you a symbol. It might say an N in the dash. It's telling you to put the forward and reverse lever into neutral. It might give you a picture of a foot, and what that's saying is take your foot on and off and apply the brakes a few times, hold it down, and for a safety check on the brakes before it engages transmission. The other thing that happens commonly is that the actual, PDO off, yep. Another thing that's common is we must choose a kilometres per hour. Okay, so if you're wondering why the tractor won't move, yep, it's a matter of pushing that forward. And in this case,
it's because it's not in gear.
Yeah, correct. So we put a gear. Now here's the symbol. It's saying once you put on the brake. So if you put your foot firmly on the brake pedal and back into neutral, now try the brake on and off a few times, or one more time and it should get it. Maybe it's suggesting the handbrake's on.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Now it's happy.
Yeah.
Off with. Yep, now it's happy.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so there we are. So now we need to set a kilometres per hour. Now it defaults to 10 kilometres an hour. You can, by moving it forward or back, you can increase or decrease the maximum speed that the tractor is set to travel at. And you can also, by holding the consent button, as described in the tractor manual, you can reduce that by bigger jumps in the kilometres per hour. So once you've got a kilometres per hour, and then we're set in PDO mode, that means the engine speed will remain constant, and then the travel speed will vary according to where you put your foot pedal. So if you take your foot pedal off, for example, the tractor will stop, and then if you put it on, it will push it all the way to the ground. It'll get up to its maximum speed and no more. So that's that one. You can use cruise control, of course, as well. Yeah. Linkage, it's important to set the linkage at the right height. Unlock the linkage is that one, and then essentially refer to the tractor manual as to how to operate that. So here we are, happy days.